Hey everybody, welcome back to Walking with Jesus Daily. We are in day 122, 122, and we are in Matthew chapter 6. I can't believe we're already in Matthew chapter 6. Um, I love going through these so much. This Sermon on the Mount, this incredible teaching by Jesus is, another one of my favorites. I only laugh because I seem to find a new favorite every day. But this truly is one of my favorites. I hope that you guys are enjoying this so far. Please do a couple things if you haven't done that before you read this or listen to this or however it is that you do. Spend some time in prayer. Go be with Jesus. Your relationship with Him matters more than anything. Knowing somebody and being known by somebody is far different than reading about somebody and reading about what they've done, or talking about somebody and what they've done. But we can actually know Him, and He can actually know us. And one day we will stand before Him, and He will say, "I know you, enter into my rest," or "I do not know you, depart from me." And it won't be based off necessarily how many Bible verses that we've memorized, or necessarily on how many things that we've done in His name, but will be it will be based off of, do we actually know each other? And my prayer for us is that we do. And relationships take work and effort, and they're not something that you can just read about happening. They take work, and they take selflessness. Jesus gave all. He is the definition of selfless. To be His disciple is to be like Him. So I pray that we are like Him. That the things in this world and on this earth do not have a hold on us, but instead we are the people that He has defined in the beginning of chapter 5 and in the middle of chapter 5, that we are beginning every day, every new morning, poor in spirit. Wake up like Job. Remember the persecutions that are waiting for you, and remember that you are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Remember how Jesus taught us what the law actually meant, the purpose of it, how we were to see it through. And He's beginning chapter 6. Sometimes I feel like I'm Mr. Rogers when I'm talking, because I just seem to be feeling very monotone sometimes. But I have a lot of thoughts going on, and I'm trying to word them without yelling into the microphone, which we all know eventually I will do. Begins into chapter 6 about being giving, having a heart of wanting to help other people, because that's having a heart like God, right? So we go into the end of the verse, chapter 6, verse 5, where it talks about doing or giving in secret. Doing it in a way that does not call glory or honor to yourself, but only shows how good God is in everything. So in verse 5, and I'll read the ESV first, and then we'll get into Amplified and discussion. We're not doing very many verses. Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 through 8. Another shorty, and I'll try not to get windy. It says, "And when you pray." So it says, "And when you..." I'm already getting into it. Let me just read it. And when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard for their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. Amplified Version reads like this. Also, when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray publicly, standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets, so that they may be seen by men. I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, they already have their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your most private room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not use meaningless repetition as the Gentiles do, for they think they'll be heard because of their many words. So do not be like them, praying as they do, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. Now there is one side note here. It is 1 Kings 18, 25 through 29. So we'll read that real quick. 1 Kings 18, 25 through 29. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose for yourselves one bull and prepare it first, for you are many, and call upon the name of your God, but put no fire to it. And they took the bull that was given them, and they prepared it, and called upon the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, and no one answered, and they limped around the altar that they had made. And at noon Elijah mocked them, saying, cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he is relieving himself. It's my favorite. Or he is on a journey, or perhaps he's asleep and must be awakened. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their custom with swords and lances, until the blood gushed out upon them. And as midday passed, they raved on until the time of the offering of the oblation. But there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention. It's interesting that is what is noted there. All right, let's begin to dig in here just a little bit. This says at the beginning also. So this is a joining word, meaning what did we just talk about and what are we getting ready to talk about? The word also implies that we are including this into what we just said. But what we just said was talking about giving. Just talked about when you give to the poor and do acts of kindness. And the beginning of this chapter was about doing good to people, to not let it be seen publicly, but to do it privately. And what led to that conversation was the end of chapter 5, which said, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So God is trying to define who we are supposed to be if we are His, and what we're supposed to strive for if we're His. And then He's explaining to us some examples. It's saying the people that you think are like me are nothing like me. These people are seeking glory for themselves. You are to give me all the glory, me, because it's me. He says, when you do good, as if you have a choice whether or not to do good. Now you do have a choice. But if you are who we just described all of chapter 5, then you're going to do good because that's who we're called to be. And when you do good, right, do it secretly. Not out in front of people so that you may gain glory or so that people can see what you've done. Now, did we not just read again about verse 10 through 12, somewhere in there of chapter 5, that people need to see the works that you do so that they can glorify God? Yes, of course. But that again goes into like the law, right? Do not murder, but I say don't be angry with your brother. Okay? It goes a whole lot further than that because it all starts in your heart. It all starts in what you're trying to do and figure out. I see, and I'm just going to say this, I see women serving all the time. And they don't mind if people see them serve or not. They'd prefer not. But serve all the time, and people see them serve in these ways. But they have no problem because they're in an audience of one. They don't even know that anybody else is watching. And they don't really care if anybody else is. They're just there to love people. They're just there to do good and provide what people need because they love Jesus. And it's obvious where the glory goes because they don't even realize that anyone else is watching. So it says when, also when. All right, those are important words. Also when. So when we go to chapter 6, verse 5, also when you pray. It is comparing or grouping together when you give to the poor and do acts of kindness. When you're doing these things physically, now we're talking about the spiritual act of prayer. When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites. Do not be like the people that we just talked about who blow a loud trumpet so that all can know what they're up to. It's a condition of the heart. Do not be like the hypocrites. Do not be like the people who say one thing and do and are another. Be like Jesus. Do and love and pray in secret. Does this mean that you cannot lead a prayer with friends or at the dinner table or in a public setting or wherever? Of course you can. That's not the heart of the matter. This is not saying every time you pray, no matter what, you need to go into a closet and close the door. It's saying don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly. It's like having money and loving to have money. If God blesses you, praise Him, thank Him, give Him the glory, use it to help people. Maybe that's the whole reason He gave it to you. But to love money is very different. Okay, to pray is one thing. To love to pray in front of other people is a whole nother animal altogether. See, the hypocrites love to pray in public, standing in the synagogues and on the corners of the streets. They love to be seen and they love to be heard so that they can receive the praise of men. The praise of men is garbage. Let me promise you one thing that you will experience if you're seeking the praise of men. You will experience praise from them on one side of their mouth and them talking behind your back on the other side. Praise in front of your face and cursing you behind your back. The praise of men is nothing. It's nothing. It is worthless or meaningless. You might as well praise yourself. Go say a big prayer and then just say out loud, "Great job there, Dan. You really did a good job. Like how you use all the big words." Right? Might as well just go ahead and give yourself praise, because that's the equivalent. It matters zero what people think. None. You will never be poor in spirit, mourn, meek, gentle, thirsting and hungering after righteousness, merciful, so on and so on, if men are who you're seeking to please, because they only care if you're that way towards them. Okay? If you're doing all these things for God, well, that's not really helping them much. So they're probably going to say some things about you. You focus your life and all that you do on pleasing your Father in heaven. Please Him, love others. Hunger and thirst to be in a right standing with God, not man. Because if you are 1 minute, you won't be the next. It says, I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, let me make this very clear in other words. They, the people, the hypocrites who do this out in the public so that they can be seen and praised, that is their reward, the praise of men. That's it. So he gives an example. He says, again, when you pray. I love this word when. When implies that it's something that not only you will do, or that you have the option to do, is that you do this often. When you pray, we're going to go the exact opposite, right? Don't murder. I say, do not be angry with your brother. Do not commit adultery. I say, do not even lust after another person. Okay? When you pray, don't do it out in public where people can praise you. I say, go into your most private room. Go to a place where it's just you and Him. Close the door and pray to your Father who is in secret. Pour out your heart to God. Just you and Him. Pour out to God privately, in secret, so that nobody else knows how much you pray. Nobody else has any idea how much time you spend in private, quiet prayer with God. That is where your relationship is built up. Go spend time praying for other people. Go spend time praying for amazing things to happen and for only God to do them. Right? And the Father who sees in secret. See, only one person can see you in secret. Do you understand that? That's why the audience of one is the only thing that matters. He sees everything you do. See, in secret only refers to what men see. But He sees everything. Go give Him your time and make it all about Him. Make God important and special. Give Him time that you don't give anyone or anything else. Is He not worthy of your time? Is He not as worthy of your time as your TV show or as your work or as your kids or as your spouse? Is He not more worthy of your time than your downtime or your me time or your whatever time? Is God not more worthy of your time? Have you gone to just spend special time in prayer and just get rid of other things in your life? I promise you, it's amazing. And that's where you gain a relationship with Him. Let's finish this up in 7 and 8. Again, it says, and when you pray. What is this, the third or fourth time? Don't use meaningless repetition. Don't use big words. Don't try to sound a certain way. Don't take this the wrong way if you're listening. My favorite prayers on a Sunday morning are by the people who really struggle to speak publicly, who fumble over their words, who don't sound eloquent, who just get up and pour their hearts out between them and God. They don't care if there were 300 people in that church that morning listening or if there were 3, because they're getting up and praying, and it's just that person and God. And if anyone else happens to be listening, great. Good for that person that's listening. But the person that's pouring out in prayer is just speaking directly to God. They talk about these meaningless repetitions like the Gentiles. And the reference is given to the prophets of Baal. The reason that these things are meaningless is because they're just saying words over and over again. Do those words actually come from the heart? Do they actually mean something to the person saying them? Now, Jesus is going to teach us how to pray tomorrow. He's going to go through very clearly and teach us how to pray. And this one prayer could last a month of teachings. I'll try not to make it that long. But it gives us an example. An example of how Jesus would pray. And what we should model a prayer after. But when we pray, let's just pray to God with the words that He's given us. Let's remember something. You didn't invent the English language. You didn't invent 5-syllable words. This language existed because God made it. He knows every word. All of them. He didn't die for you on the cross because you're smart or because you're able to use big words in prayer. He died for you on the cross because He loves you. If you were talking to somebody that you truly loved and you were pouring your heart out to that person, would you say the same things over and over again? Would you have a uniform conversation with them that you never change from? Would you try to see how many big words you can use to impress them? If you're really talking to somebody that you love, or can you just be yourself? Like my wife and I, we can just be ourselves when we have our private talks in our bedroom. And we get to laugh together sometimes over some of the things we say, but we hear each other's words and how meaningful and powerful they are when they come from the heart. As opposed to, I have thought this out very well. I have written it down so that it can sound right, because I don't want to miss there being a chance of me not getting this out right. Or you could just start with prayer and conversation and then just let that develop. Let that be. Just a side note, secret, whatever. If I ever have to pray or do a scripture reading or speak or whatever, anytime before the church, during services, and I don't like to very often. People hear plenty from me, but I always sit and pray before I do it, and I try to sit and pray for the people who are getting ready to go up and do those things. This is not for me to receive praise. I want you to get this very clear. I'm only saying this because I'm teaching a class, okay? And this is something that I do, just like I teach you some of the things that I do when I wake up. Not to model your life after mine, just so that you know what has helped me, how God has helped me in ways that I otherwise wouldn't have had. I always pray for somebody before they get up to pray. I always pray before I get up and pray. I always pray before Kenny gets up to preach. Or before somebody gets up to song lead or whatever it is. I pray that our hearts are in the right place, that we are just before God and God alone. And that as a church, that's how we worship, or that's how we do things. I pray over class when I'm not there. Like prayer is something that I no longer talk about doing. I just literally stop in the moment and do. If it is important enough for me to say, I will pray about this, then it is equally important for me to stop everything that I'm doing and pray in that moment. And I hope that we're like that. I hope that we put prayer as the top priority, most important, powerful thing that we can do for anybody, including ourselves, throughout any given moment of any given day. And I hope that we just pray what's on our hearts. And I hope that we're walking in the Spirit so that the words that come out are not even ours to start with. So Jesus tells them, don't be like them, the Gentiles who use repetitive words and big important words because they think that's why they'll be heard. It's actually why they won't be heard. God doesn't want to see the intelligence that He gave you be put into something like this. He mic drops it at the end. He says, don't be like them, and here's why. Your Father already knows what you need before you ask Him. Why are you praying like that? Why are you talking like that? I already know. I heard you before you even prayed. I've been at work for what you're gonna ask for 20 years ago. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, how about you just give me you? How about you just be real with me? How about you be poor in spirit? And how about you mourn? And how about you be meek? Why don't you just start there? And why don't you let me be God and you be my child, and you come to me like a child. You give like a child. You pray like a child, which means you give without expectation of praise or getting anything back, and that you pray because you can't wait to talk to me, and you'll tell me anything, anywhere, anytime. I will hear my kids anywhere about anything, anytime, if I'm being a good dad. Sometimes I'm not a good dad. Sometimes I don't listen well, and I should. And I'm working on it. But when you pray, guys, can we do it like Jesus is asking us to do it? All right. Tomorrow we will talk about what it looks like to pray, and we'll get to see all of the 12-point words that Jesus uses and how He says the same things over and over again. No, we're going to learn an example of how Jesus would teach us to pray. I love you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.